Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising in Venus. Welcome to Warriors of Light Astro Tarot. I'm David, doing the Heart Spread reading today. This is a love, romance, and relationship read. This is for May 2022. So let's begin, and I'll go over some of the astrology. But first, I want to say, out of the chute, so you can know if this is your reading. If this is your reading, you're heartbroken right now. This might have happened very recently. This could be something a little bit in the past. And the person that's on your mind that we're talking about broke your heart. They delivered this message with the Ace of Swords. It was a resounding blow. You do have the Dove here. This is a love relationship. I get the feeling, too, with this. It wasn't a situation where someone was cheating and lying and stealing. It was more like, if this is your reading, hey, I don't feel like this is working out, it still breaks your heart, whatever. It's like somehow you're not good enough, or you're not right, or I'm not ready, or no, it's not you, it's me. Something like this with this Ace of Swords, just to be clear. Now, with Virgos, in terms of the astrology, in a way, you're in a good place. A lot of the energy that's in Taurus right now would be trining you, which is harmonious energy. You do have Mercury at 29 this very day, and it's in its pre-shadow for retrograde. This is a broken up relationship. It could be coming back around in Mercury retrograde with someone communicating, how it often goes down. You also, besides 29, you have at 22 degrees the node there, the north node, and then you also have Uranus at 14 degrees. And then tomorrow, the 30th, you have the first eclipse of the eclipse season with the solar eclipse. That's going to be at 10 degrees Taurus. So virtually anywhere your sun is in Virgo, you're going to be getting maybe a trine from some of this energy. Now the problem is Mercury, so it gets complicated. I'm going to go ahead and say, when I look at this, I think you should get a personal reading if you're relating to this. Because, it's $50, but we could really drill down into this and try to get some help, and with astrology even more, but it goes even deeper. But because if this is your reading, you might have a bit of a mess on your hands here, and I feel for you, and I'm going to try to sort through this with the reading. So this is your energy as you're feeling towards them, and this is their energy that they're feeling towards you. So if I get the feeling like they might be in control of this relationship in a number of ways, that they're also possibly saying to you, there's a very sincere looking little page of pentacles here, and they're saying to you very sincerely, hey, I really do love you, that, but I'm sorry, and there's something. And that's maybe confusing you because you're in this Two of Swords, and Two of Swords is that energy, I just don't know. And you're coming from this broken heart. So when you have a Three of Swords and then the Two of Swords, I feel you. I've been there, and I'm sorry. This is your reading. It's a terrible place to get any traction from. And I noticed on the bottom of the deck, I normally don't read, but I happened to notice the Eight of Swords twice as I was doing this reading. So, again, boy, Eight of Swords, Three of Swords, Two of Swords. And if I do look at the bottom of the deck, that's typically going to be your energy. And they're coming in with this Ace of Swords. It's like they kicked all of this off with whatever it was they said to you, okay? But at the same time, they're confusing the fuck out of you, because they might also be saying, but I love you, but I still love you. And, it reminds me of a marriage I had. The last thing said was, that I do love you, and I got a hell of a way of showing it, and goodbye. So maybe like that. It's like they're saying, it's still there for you, I still love you, but you're like, well, I don't know, you're sure not showing it very well. Now, we get here to, this is the advice from Spirit for you in this relationship. And this really complicates it, because here we have the Knight of Cups moving into the reading. So the advice from Spirit is emotionally to engage with this relationship. So I'm not sure that necessarily means that you should, you're being advised to have a relationship, but you're being advised to drop down into your emotions. If you're in the Eight of Swords, the Three of Swords, the Two of Swords, it's all thoughts and communication. This is going to be Mercury, thoughts and communication, who is your ruler, and that's going to be going into Gemini, where it's at home, and so could be even more being in your head and just going two of swords, going around in circles in your head, which Virgos are famous for, Virgo rising, I know. So, and usually that's not helpful. And so the advice here is get out of your head and get into your heart, which is hard to do when your heart is fucking broken. So I understand. But nevertheless, that's exactly when we need to do it. So, and it takes a courage, honestly. That night is always Mars energy. It's always actions. It's always brave. Now, this is the advice for your person. I'd love for these readings to be shared, and maybe as a way to open up communication, but between the two. But for your person, there's something that they're not seeing. And you might be thinking as I say that, well, yeah, and that's what's confusing you, because there's a disparity with what they're saying to you and how they're acting towards you. It's kind of like almost this reflects more the way they really are. And that's confusing you. And I believe in that there is something about themselves that they do not see. This is with this moon. It's something emotional. So you have cups here, emotions. And I believe if you are engaged in this relationship, you're thinking about this person, they're on your mind. What Spirit is saying is in some way, at the very least, to have closure, emotionally, you're going to have to take action and engage with them. And because maybe that's what they need so they can figure out emotionally what's going on. And when you have the moon, it can be something that's so hidden from us that we just don't see it. Even if someone points at it and says, look, it's right there. We're just like, what? I don't see anything. I don't know what you're talking about. And often it's not like someone's lying. It's just something about ourselves that we are not able or willing to see, something emotional. And that's, if I'm not being too obscure, maybe the complex of what's going on with them, why there's a duality in their words and their actions, that you're probably sensing all too much. Now, this is very important, and I think the most important card in this reading, because this is the advice from Spirit for the reading as a whole. And I always say, I don't always trust myself or anyone else. I never trust the government, but I always trust Spirit. So that's why I say it's the most important card. And with the Queen of Swords, this is absolutely saying that you guys need to bring everything out in the clear light of day. You need to have a hard sit-down conversation, and they need to, and it has to be emotional. You need to have an emotional conversation. I've done this. This is not the kind of conversation you want to go out and have in a public place, because you're going to end up crying. It's also probably not, this is just intuitive and telling you my advice, it's probably not the kind of conversation you also want to have at your house, because you're just going to end up having sex and then maybe that, I don't think that's what's needed right here. The Queen of Swords is not having sex and makeup sex and angry sex and whatever it is, because that's just obscuring the situation and the problem. What the Queen of Swords is all about is about getting the cards out on the table, getting clarification. The Queen of Swords is exactly the one that would cut through this fuzziness around the moon, whatever this person isn't understanding. And in order for you, it's a little tricky. That's why I say almost like I'm recommending a personal reading. With this Knight of Cups, you have to get to your emotions to understand the situation. But then in order to engage with your person in a constructive way, you need to get out of your emotions. And here you're being very clear, very cerebral. All your Virgo-ness, bring it to bear here. Logic, I'm not saying in any way be mean. I'm just saying, this is being very clear, being very logical, being very strong, being very forceful, that kind of energy. And then we have the outcome with the Nine of Cups. So what I get out of this is the best case scenario, what your outcome is going to be, is emotionally not being clear. So I don't know, and I'm clarifying that with the Emperor, so Aries energy. So I think what that's saying, when you have the Emperor coming over the Queen of Swords, when you have this conversation, if it does not bring absolute clarity to this situation, then, and to the point where you become as a couple the Emperor, very strong and very clear, there's no more problems, there's nothing that needs to be fixed, you're set. If that does not happen from this conversation, then the best you're left with is more unclarity And I think you need to end it, guys. Thank you.